Boeing will admit guilt to a charge of criminal fraud, following two deadly incidents involving its 737 MAX aircraft that claimed the lives of 346 passengers and crew. The US determined that Boeing had broken a reform agreement. As a result, Boeing has entered a guilty plea to a criminal fraud conspiracy charge. The plane manufacturer also consented, according to the Department of Justice, DOJ, to pay a $243.6 million, £190 million criminal penalties. The relatives of those who perished on the flights 5 years prior, however, have denounced it as a sweetheart deal that would absolve Boeing of all liability for the fatalities. A US judge must now approve the settlement. Boeing will escape the publicity of a criminal trial, something the relatives of the victims have been yearning for, by entering a guilty plea. Since two almost identical 737 MAX airplane crashes in 2018 and 2019, the company's safety record has come under scrutiny. As a result, the aircraft was grounded for over a year worldwide. Prosecutors accused Boeing of lying to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, about its MCAS flight control system, which was involved in both crashes, and filed a single case of conspiracy to defraud regulators against the company in 2021. If Boeing paid a fine and successfully finished a 3-year period of intensified monitoring and reporting, it consented not to pursue the firm. However, a door panel on an Alaska Airlines Boeing aircraft burst out shortly after takeoff in January, just before that time was scheduled to end, forcing the aircraft to land. Although the event did not result in any injuries, it increased the amount of attention focused on how much Boeing had improved its safety and quality record. The Department of Justice, DOJ, announced in May that it had discovered Boeing had broken the terms of the contract, raising the prospect of legal action. Boeing is a well-known military contractor for the US government, so the business's decision to admit guilt still carries a lot of baggage. As a result, the company now has a criminal record. It is also one of the two largest producers of commercial airplanes worldwide. The impact of the criminal record on the company's contracting operations is not immediately apparent. Generally, the government prohibits or suspends companies with records from bidding, though exceptions may be granted. Paul Cassell, an attorney for some of the families of those slain on the flights in 2018 and 2019, however, stated, "This sweetheart deal fails to recognize that 346 people died because of Boeing's conspiracy. The grave ramifications of Boeing's crime are being concealed thanks to deft legal maneuvering on the part of DOJ and Boeing. Reject this inappropriate plea and simply set the matter for a public trial so that all the facts surrounding the case will be aired in a fair and open forum before a jury," he said of the judge evaluating the agreement. Mr. Cassell had pushed the DOJ to sanction Boeing more than $24 billion in a letter to the government in June. Former senior manager at Boeing and executive director of the Foundation for Aviation Safety, Ed Pearson, called the plea a terrible deal for justice and seriously disappointing. "They're basically giving them another get-out-of-jail-free card instead of holding individuals accountable," he said. All 189 persons on board a Boeing 737 MAX aircraft operated by Indonesia's Lion Air perished in an accident that occurred in late October 2018, not long after takeoff. A few months later, all 157 passengers and crew members perished in an Ethiopian Airlines tragedy. Boeing also committed to paying $2.5 billion to settle the case in 2021, which includes $500 million to a victims fund and a $243 million criminal fine. Family members were not consulted on the details of the purchase, which infuriated them. They have demanded that the corporation be put on trial. Senior DOJ employees suggested that charges be brought, as CBS News, the BBC's US news partner, revealed in late June. Senator Richard Blumenthal stated during a June hearing that he thought there was near overwhelming evidence to support a prosecution. Family member attorneys claimed the DOJ was concerned it did not have a compelling case against the company. A jury in 2022 found former Boeing technical pilot Mark Faulkner not guilty of all charges related to the incident. He was the only individual to face criminal charges. His attorneys said he was being singled out for blame. Emeritus Professor Mark Cohen of Vanderbilt University, who has researched corporate punishments, stated that plea deals and deferred prosecution agreements are frequently preferred by prosecutors because they spare them from the risk of going to trial and give the government more control over a company than a standard sentence. Because it's easier to get than going to trial, it may ease the burden on the prosecutor, but the prosecutor also may believe it's a better sanction, because they may be able to impose requirements that aren't normally in sentencing guidelines, he stated. He stated that it was quite likely that Boeing's position as a significant government contractor influenced the decision of what to do next. They've got to think about the collateral consequences, he stated. You don't take these kinds of cases lightly. The MCAS problems were not Boeing's first legal run-in. Since 2015, it has also settled numerous allegations of illegal manufacture and other problems with the Federal Aviation Administration by paying millions in penalties. The incident on the January Alaska Airlines flight has also prompted investigations and lawsuits against the business, which are still ongoing.